To start talking about digital objects and the materiality of digital artworks, I want to open with a quote by Rachel Green that she wrote for an art forum, History of Net Art, in the year 2000. Here, she's talking about a specific kind of digital artwork, net art pieces. She says, "Beware that, seen out of their native, networked social habitats, these works are the net art equivalents of animals in zoos." This quote sums up the ideas that I want to dive into in this video. How the material conditions in which a work of art exists play a vital role in the phenomenology of the piece. Green points out how net art pieces which rely on the visual/material logic of the internet to function can be stripped of their aura when removed from their native environments. In the case of digital art, the material affordances of a digital artwork, including the hardware on which it is displayed, the software through which it is run, and the code in which it is inscribed, inherently shape how we as spectators and participants are able to understand the piece. For example, in Refigure Ground at Arbeit Gallery, Sabrina Ratai's biomes, the virtual and physical, are smashed together in an exploration of the relationship between digital and analog technologies. In this piece, which is comprised of 4 digital paintings, Rattay has simulated painterly techniques in an examination of the aesthetic logic of different forms of media. The results are the kind of post-human environments that can only be created out of an artist's collaboration with a computer. But before we start unpacking what actually constitutes a work of digital art, it's worth understanding what phenomenology is in more depth. According to anthropologist Christopher Tilley, phenomenology is the relationship between being and being in the world. A phenomenology reconstructs in space the relationship between the human body, agency, temporality, and social production. Essentially, a phenomenological perspective is all about describing and understanding things as they are experienced by a subject through their senses. This kind of perspective can help us to understand how digital artworks appear to us and make us feel as both visual and material artifacts that we experience with our bodies. Digital technologies have their own unique affordances which provide their own phenomenological experiences. Whether this is the smoothness of a render, the chaos of a glitch, or the kind of digital aesthetic that can only be created through machine vision. Take, for instance, Lorna Mill's Yellow Whirlaway, a 4-channel digital GIF installation on Vue as part of Refigure Ground. In the piece, Mills has ripped GIFs from the internet and collaged them together, recontextualizing them in a new environment within the gallery. These fragments are imbued not only with the material affordances of the software that created them, which kind of creates this jagged, pixelated, and warped aesthetic, but also the screens used to display them, in addition to the cultural logic of the online media environments from which they originated. But what exactly is digital material? Isn't the digital ephemeral? To answer that question, no, the digital is most certainly not ephemeral. It is material through and through. You need a computer, a software interface, a display apparatus, and a source of electricity all working together in order to create the digital. Media theorist Lev Manovich penned one of the first all-encompassing definitions of digital objects. According to him, digital objects are created through numerical representation, meaning that they can be reduced to binary code or zeros and ones. Digital objects are also modular, meaning that you can swap around various parts and the whole will still function. They're automated, meaning that they can run and maintain themselves. They're variable, meaning that they can adapt to different formats and hardware configurations. And finally, they are transcoded, which shows how the materiality of the digital creates a particular understanding of information. As Manovich puts it, cultural categories and concepts are submitted on the level of meaning or language by new ones that derive from the computer's ontology, epistemology, and pragmatics. 10 years after Manovich defined digital objects in this way, Kalinikos et al. Played out their own definition of digital objects, and they said that they are editable, interactive, open, distributed, and modular. While both of these authors are saying essentially the same thing in different ways, these definitions are important to keep in mind, as these qualities of digital objects can help us to understand the artist's intentionalities. A powerful way to understand the relationship between digital objects and materiality is through the concept of a performance. As Boris Groys put it, a digital image can never merely be copied, but it is newly staged or performed, and every performance of each data file is dated and archived. Manovich put it in a slightly different way, stating that he also uses the word performance because what we are experiencing on screen is constructed by software in real time. We are engaging not with predefined static documents, but with the dynamic outputs of a real-time computation happening on our device or server. So each time you see a movie or a digital image or any other kind of digital file, it is being newly performed on your device and the software that's running it each and every time you see it. You can almost think of your hardware as being the stage, the software as being the performers, and the digital object as the script that is performed over and over again. One of the most profound examples of the creation of a digital object in Refigure Ground is Morishige Alayari's She Who Sees the Unknown, Aisha Kandisha. In this work, Alayari has used 3D scanning and rendering to create a new digital artifact of the Moroccan jinn Aisha Kandisha. Aisha Kandisha is known as the opener, who creates a crack in the male body that opens up a space for a process of destruction and rebuilding. Alayari has created this artifact based on images and other physical remnants from ancient illustrations. So not only is this a powerful metaphor that stands against digital colonialism, but it is also a new artifact in its own right that stands alone from its physical reference, rather than a mere simulation. Moreover, the work's aura and impact are directly influenced by the material affordances of the digital. For this reason, Aisha Kandisha needs to be regarded and cared for as one might care for a statue or other physical artifact, any kind of object that you might see in a museum or gallery around the world. Thank you so much for watching, and check out part 2 in this series where I talk about the difference between the virtual and the actual, and how digital artists can use simulation to disrupt normative forms of cultural production and truly inhabit digital worlds.